This is a very interesting problem. So in this problem, you have an ambulance which is moving towards an observer, and this observer is at rest. An ambulance is moving at a speed of 100 meter per second, and the sound it is emitting a sound whose frequency is 1200 hertz, and the speed of the sound is 340 meter per second. So in this case, this object is at rest and the ambulance is moving. And the second case is ambulance is at rest but it is emitting sound, and this observer is moving towards the ambulance at 100 meter per second. Now the question is, in which case the observed frequency will be higher, or in which case the observer will hear the higher frequency? That's the question. And in order to solve, you need to understand the Doppler effect. So here I am going to use the equation, but if you already know the answer, please write down your answer in the comment section below. So in order to solve this problem, you need to know this equation. This is f prime, which is the observed frequency, that what are we going to find out in both cases. And this f is the frequency of the sound emitted by the ambulance. V is the speed of the sound wave, which is the speed of the wave, plus minus v of v0, which is the observer velocity, v minus plus v source. So let me explain this term here. This is the observed frequency. This is the frequency emitted by the ambulance. V is the speed of the source, in this case ambulance. V is the speed of the wave, which is the sound speed. V0 is the speed of the observer, and Vs is the speed of the source, which is the ambulance. So if you choose the plus sign here, then you have to take the negative sign here. If you choose the negative sign here, then you choose the positive sign here. But now let's solve this problem for both situations. So in this case, as the observer is moving, let me use a different color. So I'm going to use here. So in this case, the ambulance is moving, and this one is at rest. So this is the Vs, and is also emitting the sound. That sound we call it a V0, which is given, or the V, not 0. The V is the 340 meter per second. That's the sound. Let's call the sound here. And this observer V0 is at rest. So now I'm going to apply this one here, plug it into this equation. So my f prime, now look, let's try to understand these things here. When this ambulance is approaching towards the observer, which is at rest, as it is approaching, you will going to hear the higher frequency. So that means f prime, if I write down the equation, f prime, f, as I mentioned here, we're going to listen the higher frequency, and we already know this object is at rest. So that means V, as we're going to listen a higher frequency, we have to select the positive sign, because the positive will make it higher frequency. And V0 here is at rest, so this object will be 0. So that is 0. And as I mentioned, if you're going to choose the positive sign here, then you have to choose the negative sign here. So V negative, Vs. So now let's plug in all the values here. The F is the frequency of the emitted sound, which is 1200. V is the sound speed, which is 340 meter per second, that is given. So 340 plus 0, we do not need it. Now V again is the speed of the sound, 340, and Vs is the speed of the source, which in this case is the ambulance, and that is given is 100 meter per second. That's what it's saying. The ambulance is moving towards an observer at 100 meter per second. So this number is 100. So let's plug in all the numbers, and if you do the calculation, the number I'm getting is, now let me do the quick calculation, 1200 340 divided by 240. So if I do the calculation, the number I am getting is 1700 hertz. So that's the frequency you're going to hear. Now let's do the calculation for the second case, and in this case the ambulance is at rest. So that means my source is at rest, but this one is moving towards this source, which is the observer is moving, and it's still emitting the sound, and the speed of the sound is 340 meter per second. And in this case again, as the observer is moving towards the ambulance, we're definitely going to hear the higher frequency. So now let's see how we're going to choose the plus and minus sign here. So F prime, let me write down, F prime is F V, an observer is moving, but it is definitely going to increase the frequency. So we're going to choose the positive sign, V0, V, and Vs in this case is 0 because the source is at rest. So let's plug in all the numbers here. So the frequency is 1200. This V is the speed of the sound wave, which is 340. V0 is the speed of the observer, which is 100. So 100, and V here is 340. So if you do the math, and I'm getting 1552 hertz. So you see a significant difference in the frequency observed. When the ambulance is moving towards the observer, you hear 1700 hertz, and when the ambulance is rest and the car or the observer is moving towards the ambulance, which is emitting a sound, you hear 1550 hertz. So why it is greater in this case, I would like you to write down your analysis or your reasoning in the comment section below. So this is it from this video. If you have any question, please write down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.